Being that it's 7 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order. The clerk will read the sunshine law.
Let the minutes show that adequate notice of this meeting is required by Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, has been provided by the annual notice which has been posted on the bulletin board filed with the Borough Clerk and has been sent to the Ashford Park Press, the Independent, the Star Ledger, and the Two River Times.
Thank you. We could please have a roll call.
Councilman Chardonnay?
Here.
Councilman Keyport? Councilman Good?
Here.
Councilman Pacheco?
Here.
Councilman Metropolis?
Here.
Councilman McDermott?
Here.
Mayor Kennedy?
Here. Everyone in the audience, please lower their, turn their cell phones off. And we'll all rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. Okay. First, we have a couple proclamations to read. First one is regarding colorectal cancer awareness month. Whereas March is recognized nationally as Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month, an observance that provides a special opportunity to offer education about colorectal cancer causes, screenings, and the importance of early detection. And whereas colorectal cancer is the second leading cause of cancer deaths in the United States among men and women combined, but there is currently no cure. Whereas 1 in 20 men and 1 in 24 women will be diagnosed with colorectal cancer in their lifetime. Whereas there are now more than 1 million survivors of colorectal cancer in the United States. Whereas the national goal established by the National Colorectal Cancer Roundtable is 80% of Americans aged 50 and older be screened in every community. Whereas if the majority of people in the United States aged 50 or older were screened regularly of colorectal cancer, half of all the cases would be prevented entirely. Whereas the New Jersey Cancer Education and Early Detection Program provides free colorectal cancer tests to uninsured and underinsured men and women. Whereas increasing awareness and education about colorectal cancer causes, prevention, screenings, and treatments among patients and healthcare providers alike about the best use of colorectal cancer prevention tools is a key component in safeguarding men and women's health. And whereas it is critical that all people of all ages know the signs and symptoms of the disease. And whereas the good health and well-being of the residents of Keyport are enhanced as a direct result of increased awareness and education about colorectal cancer prevention and early detection, and encourage all men and women in our lives to receive regular screenings and to join the continued fight in the prevention and early detection of colorectal cancer. Now therefore I, Colette Kennedy, Mayor of Borough Keyport, do hereby proclaim March 2019 as Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month in the Borough of Keyport. We also have a proclamation in awareness of National Poison Prevention Week, which is the third week of every March. Whereas Congress designated the third full week in March to be National Poison Prevention Week in 1961, and since then, this week has helped to raise national awareness of dangerous and potentially poisonous medicines, household chemicals, and other substances. And whereas poisoning is a preventable illness, from the youngest to the oldest, all people and even pets are at risk. Whereas poison centers across the country will focus the public's attention on identifying poisoning hazards at home, as well as learning ways to prevent poisoning emergencies. Whereas a poison is defined anything that is taken in the wrong amount, in the wrong way, or by the wrong person. And whereas unintentional poisoning is the leading cause of unintentional injury death in New Jersey, outnumbering deaths by motor vehicles and firearms. whereas, and additionally, 94% of unintentional poison deaths nationally and 96% in New Jersey, drugs are the poison. And whereas, although the majority of reported poison exposures involve children 5 years old and younger, the majority of poisoning deaths occur in adults 20 to 59. And whereas lead poisoning remains a major public health concern, elevated blood levels can cause significant and permanent damage to the health and well-being of a young child. There is no safe level of lead. Stop a child's exposure to lead before it causes them harm. Whereas the New Jersey Poison Information and Education System, the division of the Department of Emergency Medicine of the New Jersey Medical School of Rutgers, the State University of New Jersey, provides free, confidential, multilingual expert advice, drug information, and poison prevention education to New Jersey residents through the Poison Helpline 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, even during bouts of Mother Nature. And whereas consumers must be aware that e-cigarette devices, hookah pipes, and liquid nicotine may contain very high doses of nicotine and enticing colors, aromas, and flavors, increasing the likelihood that small children and pets will focus their attention on them. These products pose serious risk of poisoning. And whereas we encourage all residents to program the Poison Helpline 1-800-222-1222 into home, office, and cell phones, because a rapid response can make a difference in preventing serious injury and saving lives. And whereas poison control centers help to eliminate thousands of unnecessary and expensive emergency department visits by offering callers access to free confidential medical advice. We now therefore elect Jay Kennedy, Mayor of Keyport, do hereby proclaim the week of March 17th to the 23rd of 2019 as National Poison Prevention Week in New Jersey, and encourage all citizens to pledge their commitment to ensuring the safety of themselves, their families, and their community. And now we will move on to committee reports. Councilman Sheridan.
Thank you, Mayor. Finance is meeting about the budget this Thursday with the anticipated introduction on April 2nd meeting. We'll have the preliminary budget on the website as soon as we can. We're still awaiting delivery of our anticipated senior bus. In absence of aforementioned bus, we're still meeting weekly and making very good progress towards all the logistics involved in that bus. And lastly, Keyport Historical Society will be opening May 4th and 5th during Old Monmouth weekend, and then they'll be open on Sundays from 1 to 4. They'll be displaying oysters, ships, and an era room of the late 1800s, as well as education in the past. Additionally, there's going to be a display in Freehold at the Monmouth County Clerk's Office. The display at the Clerk's Office will feature several of the most important and unique aspects of Keyport's rich history, to include our business district of years gone by. Thank you, Mr. Gallo. That's all. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Good.
Thank you, Mayor. Let's see, with regard to the fire department for the month of February, there were 16 calls, raising the number to 52 for the year. And those 16 calls were 214, almost 215 hours. And we've already gotten almost 766 hours put in by our wonderful volunteers. Also, I believe that we've switched over from the local dispatch to county, and knock on whatever this is, linoleum, but the fire department and the first aid report that it's no issues yet. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilwoman Jekyll.
Well, I guess on that note, I'll start with the police commission report. So for the month of February, we had 848 calls for service. There are 55 case files with the Detectives Bureau. There were no Narcan saves, at least for the police department this month.
Good news?
Yeah. County dispatch started on March 5th. And police department's also happy to hear it's been a smooth transition so far. They're still kind of learning as they go along. We wanted to give special thanks to both Lieutenant Torres and Sergeant Root, who went above and beyond the normal duty to make sure that the transition was as seamless as possible. We also want to take the opportunity to congratulate Lieutenant Firm for 30 years of service to the borough and Sergeant Dixon for completing 25. They're assets to the police department, and we wanted to recognize them for their outstanding service. St. Patrick's Day went pretty smoothly with only a few arrests and incidents, so we're hoping the same for Saturday at the parade. The police department will be setting up details this month to address complaints about speeding. They are also going to be addressing some pedestrian signage and crosswalk paint as soon as the weather breaks, which hopefully will be soon. The Municipal Alliance met on March 6th. We discussed programming for both the community and in the schools, and also kind of a game plan for any future grants. Prior to the meeting was a meeting of the KRRI, the Keyport Response Recovery Initiative. The group decided actually that they would try to set up a dry viewing area for this weekend's parade, so anybody who's in recovery or wants a place where they know everybody will be sober can have a place to watch. So thanks to Officer Almack, who was able to begin to secure the spot. I will make sure that the actual location of said spot gets put out on Facebook, because I don't have it with me right now. The Municipal Alliance is going to be hosting a parent presentation on this Thursday, March 21st at 6 o'clock in the high school about the dangers of vaping and e-cigarettes. So if you're interested, contact Lindsay Thien at 732-212-6100. Her extension is 2265. The next meeting of the MAC will be on Wednesday, April 10th, 7:30 at Borough Hall. And then the Harbor Commission met March 11th with members of the public and Andy Reichel to continue discussions about our Harbor Master Plan. The Commission hopes to include academics from Monmouth University in the discussions to put together a plan that will improve waterfront services and hopefully try to mitigate the flooding. Some ideas are obviously to improve the bulkhead, add some floating docks, try to figure out how dock and dine will work, improve the boat launch, and areas to launch kayaks and paddleboards. Once the plan is in place, the Commission will start to research and apply for grant funding. We're also continuing to having concessions by the boat launch. And the next Harbor Commission meeting will be April 8th at 7 o'clock in Borough Hall. That's all I've got.
Thank you. Councilman Claflin?
Thank you, Mayor. I apologize for the breadth of this report this month. Health Registrar and Recycling. The financial report, the Treasurer's report, was submitted by Administrator Don Purcell. For the record, if anybody's interested, that's accessible. I can help you get to that if you need be. Our borough website is a great resource for information regarding recycling, public health preparedness, access to emergency preparedness and response, children's health information, mental health information, senior citizen services, and more. I want to work with the administrator and the web designer to see if we can make that information even more accessible to the public and easier to navigate that through. That might be a surprise to Steve, but I know we're all on the same page about trying to make that happen. As you know already, the Keyport Health Department is maintained by the Monmouth County Health Department, and I will be meeting with their health officer with our health officer in the near future. And during the recycling committee meeting on February 25th, we discussed the solid waste bid specification, which was then turned over to Steve for distribution and processing of bids. That's going to come up in June, right, Steve?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
The contract needs to be renewed by June.
Renewed by June, and we're hoping we'll have it done before then. Further, Donna Purcell reached out to Chris Massaro, the COO for Monmouth Wire, the contractor that processes our e-waste, to see if a different sorting strategy would save us money on recycling electronic waste. It turns out that wouldn't be the case, and the current plan, the way it's happening, is the way that we should maintain it. The good news is hopefully the good news is at some point manufacturers of the TVs will pony up and help pay for the recycling of that material, because it is quite expensive. Full disclosure too, I have a business relationship with Monmouth Wire, so any votes or any discussion regarding them I probably shouldn't. I'm not going to participate. I'll recuse myself with that. The Environmental Commission. I submitted the approved minutes to the Environmental Commission from January to the clerk. The February meeting discussion points were Browns Point and Mariners Village. regarding a potential federal resource management zone. I've got that discussion going offline right now with Steve and with the rest of the Environmental Commission. Crosswalks, Joe Sheridan and I, Councilman Sheridan and I updated the Commission on the Complete Streets NJTPA Grant for Planning Resources. Mike Palmisano, member of the Commission, is working with the Tax Assessor's Office to compile a complete commercial property list, which will be submitted to the Green Team for Brownsfield's inventory. Councilman Sheridan reported success with the first planning on the Cedar Street Park, and we're looking to establish the scope of phase 2 of shoring up those dunes with some beach grass and maybe even some seagrass as well. Commission member Matt Tevis and Bill Shadell are, along with Surf Rider, and of course the participation, I would hope, of Councilwoman Pacheco, are going to help with trying to make that happen again in the near future. Oyster beds and castles. First, I want to thank Councilmember Sheridan for his continued and meaningful efforts on this. He updated the Commission on the meeting that they had between Business Administrator Gallo and the Baykeeper, and we're hoping to acquire a large number of castles to seed oysters in the bay very soon. I like the idea of, Joe presented an idea of establishing a breakwater that is made out of the castles and the oyster beds themselves. That would be really hard to break down, much harder than it would wood. The tree seeding program is on its way. We are acquiring 250 seedlings of different types of trees that are indigenous to our area, and we're hoping to schedule distribution of those seedlings somewhere around, if not on Arbor Day. Clean Ocean Action Beach Sweeps will be held on Saturday, April 13th. If you want any information about volunteering or having your family members volunteer, you can discuss that with me either directly or indirectly online after the meeting. Coincidentally, Mr. Berlew, we discussed reusable bags in the works to support an effort to reduce and remove plastic bags and straws from use in the businesses in the borough on a voluntary basis, for starters. And we're also looking into grants to provide tote bags for the businesses and the citizens of the borough and the shoppers in the borough. Let's see what else. Finally, the ANJAC grant. Commission member Palmisano asked if our application has been submitted for the waterway markers. We're going to get some, this was another idea that Councilman Sheridan had. We're going to get, if you travel through Monmouth County and you cross a creek, you'll see a sign that says this is part of the Manasquan watershed or something like that. We're going to get similar signage for the roads crossing the creeks in our area as well. And that's done through a grant. The borough isn't going to pay for that, and I think that grant's already been applied for, has it not, Steve?
It's my understanding, yeah.
Yeah, okay, and as we all know, we've got wonderful grant writers. I'm gonna try and be more brief next time, thanks for your patience.
That was great, thank you. Councilwoman McDermott?
Hello, everyone. So, Public Works and Construction, I attended the New Jersey Forum Redevelopment Forum 2019 with Steve Gallo and Mayor Kennedy. There were excellent sessions of breakout forums. Earnings were reviewed and considered for future evaluation with the borough and the council as needed. Tom Gallo provided a report to the mayor, council, and borough administrator with his details, so that'll be submitted, I think, in Steve's report. DPW committee, we met, and we learned that there were 2 open racks for labor existed and some promotion opportunities that Steve will also address in his report for consideration. And also adjusting hiring at level 2 for laborers so that we have more opportunities for growth and sustainability of staffing of DPW. There was a damaged crosswalk sign that was shared and should be replaced soon. That was shared with the general. Regarding library, Canopy use, which is an online digital solution for viewing videos, is increased, and that's good. ARP resolved, I think they had the last volunteer tax preparation, and that was very was attended highly by a bunch of people that actually ended up staying till 4 o'clock to do some finish up with taxes. Friends of Keyport is continuing to work on expansion of membership. And again, if anyone wants to join Friends of Keyport Library, that's a great opportunity to volunteer. Outstanding, there is a need for a chimney repair that's still pending. I think there's someone that's supposed to come in and look at that.
We're supposed to be here in March, I'll follow up with you tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. The state report was submitted by a library. There is gonna be a code club, session to be held April 3rd at 4 p.m. at the library, where they're gonna kind of teach kids how to code, or anyone kind of comes in. So that's a good opportunity, and something that's might be ongoing. And most of us who are on the board and or do liaisons, student council, or the mayor role, are gonna attend what every library trustee needs to know now. We're registered for the June 15th class, and we'll give you updates after we attend that. KBBC, 2019 budget was submitted to council for review and approval. That's gonna be somewhere in the reports. Grant opportunity was shared with the borough, from the borough, was shared with KBBC for consideration regarding music festival, and that's something that's being considered within the board. Stakeholder meeting will be held May 1st at the Borough Council Chambers here, and that's gonna be open to KBBC, businesses, open to the public. 4 committees met, so now we actually do have events, visual improvements, marketing, and business support. And that's actually enabled the KBBC to run very efficiently, where each committee kind of runs its operational needs and reports back what are gonna be some resolutions and actions that the groups need to do. Now, to put back to the library does the same thing too. They have several committees that board members work on independently and that they report back, so that's been very efficient. And that's it for me.
Thank you very much. Mr. Gallo?
Good evening, Madam Chairwoman, council members on the dais, and public here in the chamber. Report briefly on some of the activities since we last met, and then I'm happy to answer any questions that may arise. Since our last meeting, I had the following meetings. I met with employee Debbie Gallagher. I participated in a safety meeting along with the borough clerk. Met with the DPW committee. I attended the New Jersey Futures Redevelopment Forum with Councilmember McDermott and Mayor Kennedy. I met with the Harbor Commission. I participated in a forum on the minimum wage changes and how they affect municipalities. I met with the county engineer regarding the First Street Bridge project. That's the bridge on the other side of town in Lockport that's going to be undergoing some major renovations. Had a meeting with the borough physician. I met with the CFO to work on drafting the calendar year 2019 budget. I met with Tom Gallo. I met with the North Jersey Transportation Planning Authority regarding our planning grant. That's going to move forward in the near future. I held a progress meeting with our engineer and the contractor regarding the water treatment plant upgrades that are ongoing. I met with a potential employee and had a conversation with them. Excuse me, and then I had another meeting with the CFO to finalize the draft budget yesterday, which was sent to the members of the Finance Committee. With regard to Beach Park and Beer Street outfall, we have commissioned the project, and it will commence in the near future with a pre-construction meeting. This will involve the rehabilitation of stormwater outfalls, 2 on Beer Street and 1 at Beach Park. Benjamin Terry and Veterans Parks improvements are continuing. We expect them to be completed in May and have the park returned and restored for use over the course of the summer. Had a conversation with the construction official about the plans for the DPW building, which he is reviewing. He promised to complete his review and forward his comments and recommendations to the project engineer this week. We need to have a conversation about scattered sites moving forward with the redevelopment committee. Regarding our upcoming capital projects, our paving job was rejected, but it's been put out to bid again, and we are expecting the revised bids to come in on Thursday. Hopefully the pricing will be improved, and that will enable us to award a contract in our first meeting in April. I've been in communication with folks from DOT regarding our transportation alternatives planning grant for the streetscape project and pedestrian safety improvements on First Street, Front Street, and Broadway. We are scheduling a meeting with representatives of NJDOT and our consulting engineer, as well as various stakeholders in the community, to talk about how we're going to move forward with that project. We're expecting a day now, the award figure for DOT local aid for 2019, which will enable us to put together 2 jobs that are pending and get them out on the street so we can get a rather large paving job completed over the course of this summer. Main Street Park, the design is at Monmouth County CDBG, where they're reviewing it before authorizing it to go out to bid. We hope to have this done this week. We also have on our agenda tonight a public hearing regarding our Green Acres funding application for the Kearney Street Jack Conway Park. We did receive a county open space grant. We're hoping to use the Green Acres grant as part of our match. Browns Point redevelopment, the developers finalizing their CAFRA permit, and that should be the last piece that they need to obtain before they can move forward on their project and actually get their building permits. Aero Marine redevelopment, we have on our meeting tonight a resolution de-designating Bushwick Realty as the designated redeveloper because they failed to perform in accordance with the terms of the agreement. And we're also going to be looking into the status of the landfill closure plan of that property. They have a long closed landfill that has to be officially decommissioned in accordance with state regulations, and it's our plan to ask them where they are with that. Longview Boatworks, I've asked for a meeting with the developer's attorney to iron out a couple of outstanding issues regarding waterfront access and an adjacent borough property. And they are in the process of amending their CAFRA permit, and we're looking forward to some progress there as well. I've also requested a meeting with the owners of the former Ye Cottage Inn property to find out what's going on with that project. 75 Manchester, that parcel has been declared in need of redevelopment with condemnation. We need to decide what we'd like to see there, and we need to define it by drafting a redevelopment plan and then finding a developer who's willing to build that plan. Perry Street Water Treatment Plant upgrades are progressing. We had a meeting yesterday on this, and the project is on schedule. It's expected to be completed late 2019 with substantial completion in October and final completion in December. So there's going to be some heavy construction continuing at that location until the project's completed. We look forward to some additional action with our bike share program as the weather warms up. I did have a meeting with the North Jersey Transportation Planning Authority regarding our Complete Streets project. We discussed project scheduling, the scope of work, and expected deliverables from the project. They are finalizing a request for proposals based upon a scope of work that we agreed upon, and they'll issue it, and hopefully we'll have a return date in June, which will mean we'll have the consultant paid for by the grant that will assist us in preparing a Complete Streets policy and the Complete Streets ordinance, as well as executing a Complete Streets demonstration project, which should all occur over the course of the summer and into the fall. The project has a 12 to 15 month completion date. I met with the Harbor Commission, as Councilmember Pacheco mentioned, and we're trying to come up with identifying those issues that we want to address in the harbor and then finding resources and grant funds to execute. As was mentioned by Councilmember Good, we have been on county dispatch for the past 2 weeks. It's been going rather smoothly, and there's no incidents to report of any significance. We've also lived up to our obligation to maintaining the employment status of 2 displaced employees, one of whom is going to be retiring soon, the other one who is now working in the municipal court. We had a discussion with Councilmember Good about the flood control ordinance, and we're going to have that reviewed both by Trevor and Andy Reichel before we get prepared for introduction. It should be introduced hopefully in April. I'm also, we were having conversations with the Bayshore Mayors Association about shared services, and that will be the topic of one of their future meetings. We'll be attending their meeting this month along with Mayor Kennedy to set the table for having a discussion about shared services. With regard to technology, we're still waiting for our fiber optic line to be installed so we can convert over. I did call about that today, and apparently it's held up on Verizon's end, but we expect it to be done sometime this week. Our engineer is completing his evaluation of the library facilities and will provide us with a project estimate, which will form the basis for our grant application as soon as the library financing program opens. We expect that we will be awarded funds to cover 50% of the cost of the needed repairs at the library, and we think it's a good time to get everything done while we can get grant funds to pay for it. As Councilmember Sheridan mentioned, the draft budget has been prepared and will be reviewed by the Finance Committee on Thursday, and we're on track to hearing following at the second meeting in the month. Borough Hall Leaks, our consultants begun their review of the borough premises, and we're hopefully getting a report from them, tell us what the problems are. We talked about Complete Streets earlier. We're working with the Recreation Committee for the summer recreation and summer camp this summer. We have job postings out, looking to hire camp director, 2 assistant directors, and camp staff, camp counselors. If anybody knows of anybody who's interested in these positions, they can see me after the meeting. And we're also soliciting proposals to provide various recreation opportunities in the community over the course of the summer. We're interested in hearing from people who do things that they think others might be interested in. The RFP is up on the borough website as well as the borough Facebook page, and I can certainly talk to anybody about that. And we're also reviewing the movies to put the schedule together for this summer. I'll circulate that as soon as I have a list available before we commit to it. And Councilmember Fotopoulos mentioned the oyster castles. I did have an opportunity to speak with our representative from the governor's office requesting a meeting with them, and they were very receptive to the idea. They understand the issue, and we are actually meeting with this individual on Friday, so hopefully we'll have some more information on that as well. As soon as we get the appointment, we'll let you know. That's it, that's all I got.
Anybody have a question?
Yeah, I have one question. Regarding the library bond,
Yes,
does the engineer know about the issue with the chimney?
yes, we have had some difficulty securing someone to make the actual repairs. There are very few. We issued an RFP through the internet and through fax, asking companies to come in and fix the chimney. Only one company responded, and they were supposed to fix it earlier in the year, and then something came up, and they were supposed to be in March. It's hard finding people who do this type of work, but we hope to have the chimney repaired long before that job is the other job's commissioned. We'll have to call them tomorrow to find out where they are, because March is almost over.
Steve,
Yes, sir.
with regards to the tiki bar on the E Cottage Inn
Yes.
property, I spoke to the owner, and he okayed me to relay to you that it's the same status.
Sure.
They're looking for improvements on the bulk, to get improvements done on the bulkhead.
We heard at the Harbor Commission that they had hired someone to make those improvements. I need to talk to them because they have to come before this board.
Of course.
For a license before they proceed.
I also let them know that it's time to get a meeting with you as
Sure.
well. So, yep.
Hopefully we'll hear from them.
Good.
I have something.
Yes.
So with county dispatch, all calls are coming in, including DBW calls and everything are being handled by county dispatch now?
I don't know what you mean by DPW calls.
Like, so if any calls, from my understanding, any calls that are relating to the borough emergencies are being handled to that, they're dispatching out appropriate personnel.
If people call the police department emergency number or 911, they go to the county, and then the county does the dispatching from there
Right.
through radio frequency or, the tones or whatever it takes. If they're calling, first of all, they shouldn't be calling the police department for DPW, but if that happens, we do have, they have our call-out list if it's after hours, and they would page our people to come out.
Yep, okay, thank you, just want to confirm that.
Did the chimes get shut down as part of the?
The chimes were damaged as part of the equipment failure that we had, the surge.
Oh, okay.
We are in the midst of replacing that equipment. We did have a report that the insurance is gonna cover it and share that cost. But in terms of activating the chimes, I had a conversation with the chief and with Kenny Crow, and logistically, it doesn't appear that we will be able to have chimes at 6 o'clock every day. We're looking into it to see if there's an alternative, but right now we don't know if it's gonna be able to happen.
It starts the apocalypse.
There'll be chimes in the apartment.
Thank you, Mr. Gallo. A few quick updates. I attended the House of Worship Committee meeting in February, and we have a few upcoming events where we're gonna start rotating once a month, where emergency service volunteers can go in and see the different establishments so they can get them, learn them better. Obviously, as we learned from the unfortunate events in New Zealand, this is becoming a little bit happening too often. So we've all of the newer personnel on emergency services would like to know where all the ins and outs are of all of our houses of worship, and they would like to open them, the opportunity to them. So we're gonna be doing that from the CERT level, and all other emergency services will be accompanying them that are available. We do them on the second Friday of every month until they're done. We're also probably gonna be scheduling a house of worship open house, later in the year, probably in November, right before the holidays. But it was a successful meeting. I'm honored to be part of the senior bus committee now, but it's really honorable to sit next to such dedication from Councilman Sheridan and Cooper and former Councilwoman Lamberson, who have worked really hard over the last 3 years to bring this to fruition. And as soon as the bus comes out of hiding, we'll have a big ribbon cutting. Because it's like the biggest Lego project you ever put together, right? We performed a couple weddings, and I'm happy to say that we're now generating donations for some of our nonprofits that were selected on New Year's Day, so that was exciting as well. Met with the Board of Ed and Mr. Gallo and some of the Board of Ed members to go over some initiatives and ideas for summer camp, and just to make sure we're all on the same page, since they'll be under construction with the referendum passing. I attended along with some of the borough staff and Mr. Gallo the grand opening for Cheesin, so it's exciting to have another eatery in town, so that was fun. And the fun house also opened, and the council and myself were invited to participate in Read Across America with the school, so that was something different and fun as well. And just on Councilman Cooper's absence, I'd just like to report that the egg hunt is scheduled for April 6th with an April 7th rain date. As Mr. Galler said, the RFPs have been posted for several initiatives that the Recreation Committee is moving forward with this year, which are exciting. Movie nights will be held on Friday nights in the summer this year, and KBBC will be sponsoring music nights on Thursday evenings. So before, we were trying to do them all in one night, and they were kind of colliding with each other. So both of them will run for 10 weeks approximately, give or take. But movies will be Friday nights, music will be Thursday nights. And then just a reminder that the parade is this Saturday, and thank you for everyone. That is a fundraiser for our fire department, so thank you for everyone that's taken out sponsorships. And I look forward to another successful parade, bringing lots of people into our beautiful town. So thank you in advance to DPW and all the emergency services that helped pull that off safely. And now we will move on to the consent agenda.
Resolution 135-19, it authorizes the payment of bills. Resolution 136-19 authorizes appointment to the Municipal Alliance Committee. Have the mayor at the advice of consent of council, that's for several positions. Resolution 137-19 authorizes the appointment to the Green Team by the mayor with advice and consent of council. Joseph Scally is the Board of Education rep. Resolution 138-19 terminates Bushwick Realty as a conditional redeveloper for their marine site. Resolution 139-19 authorizes certain personnel changes. That would be hiring Engineer Mayo as the motor vehicle operator at a salary of $15 per hour effective upon receipt of the senior bus. Promotion of Robert Kuchman to the position of DPW supervisor at an annual salary of $67,410.96 effective yesterday, March 18th. Promotion of Trevor Underwood to maintenance repair at a salary of $40,841.08. That's also effective March 18th. Promotion of Sylvia Clark to the position of recreation leader at an hourly salary of $15.25. That's effective March 18th. A transfer of Michael Mulcahy from the zoning office to property maintenance code enforcement official at an annual salary of $20,000 effective March 18th. And we're appointing David Olson as the zoning officer for a salary of $12,000 annually. That's also effective March 18th. 140-19 is the appropriation transfer resolution. Resolution 141-19 amends resolution number 35-19 and increases the bid threshold to $6,000 for awarding certain contracts without soliciting competitive proposals and quotations. Resolution 142-19 is the Business Improvement District 2019 budget notice. There'll be a public hearing on that on April 16th. Resolution 145-19 authorizes the appointment as council representative to the the Municipal Alliance Committee with Deputy Councilman Jennifer Toplis.
Before we open that to the public, can I just verify, Mr. O'Connor, Mr. Gallo, do we need 14119, or did we rectify that on New Year's Day?
It was corrected on New Year's Day. I believe it was my mistake that, I had seen an earlier version that had a lower number and I reacted to it.
So,
You can strike it.
okay, I'd like to open, the meeting open, to the public. Remind everyone that this public portion is for items on the agenda only, and it'll be 5 minutes per person. Count.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Guy?
Elmer Graham Jr., 22 St. Peter's Place. Good evening, Madam Mayor. Good evening, Council. I have a few things I'd like to ask right here. 13618, Steve, I guess, can you explain that? Or someone?
Okay, I'll defer to Councilmember Pacheco.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but there was some members, we had the ordinance for the Municipal Alliance Committee included representatives from the school, a PTO representative, some representatives that hadn't, I'm like, somebody remember tonight, I apologize. Some representatives that hadn't been appointed yet, so we're doing that now.
That have what?
That hadn't been appointed as of yet.
They were ignored.
I don't know if that's the word.
We were waiting for the school board to give us names for who they really want.
Okay. Let's see, resolution 14019, what's that?
14019 is from the CFO. It just authorizes transfer of funds within the budget, the temporary emergency budget.
Okay. And let me go back to resolution 13819.
Okay.
Can you, Steve, or someone explain
Sure.
that?
We had previously designated Bushwick Realty Corporation, the owner of the Air Marine property, as conditional developer. We entered into an agreement with them where they agreed to accomplish certain tasks by certain deadlines, and they failed to perform. So this resolution terminates that designation as conditional use development.
Okay. A couple of other things on here. Steve, on the Complete Streets Initiative, you know, you mentioned about that earlier. When is there going to be a public hearing on that again?
Well, on the actual drafting of the plan, the Complete Streets Policy and Ordinance, we're waiting for the professional consultant to be assigned by the North Jersey Transportation Planning Authority. I'm trying to get a meeting together of the folks who are interested in volunteering for Complete Streets,
Right.
the first or second week of April. I'm delayed because I'm waiting to hear back from a guest speaker.
I was one of them who signed up.
Yes, I know. I'm waiting to hear back from a guest speaker who's supposed to attend and talk to us about Complete Streets. So hopefully I can have that buttoned up tomorrow or the next day and announce the date.
Okay, and one last thing. I know I've asked this before, but what's the progress on the governor or lieutenant governor coming here for a town hall?
As I mentioned earlier, we made contact this week with the governor's representative for Keyport. Mayor Kennedy and I are meeting with them on Friday, and we'll submit that request. That's all I say. Okay?
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kelsey?
Andrew Kelsey, 29 St. Peter's Place. Last meeting, I asked the mayor some questions in regards to the 5-minute rule on public comment. After some additional research, I have a couple concerns. I had asked the mayor if the 5-minute limit included when council members interject and answer questions. The answer was yes. After my commentary was over, Mr. Ballou was called upon to make his comments. During his comment session, the mayor afforded him treatment contrary to the rules that were just expressed to me and inserted during my 5-minute comment period. The mayor repeatedly asked Borough Council, the timekeeper, to quote, "stop the clock," to allow her interjections into Mr. Ballou's 5-minute comment period without impacting his time limit. Quote, "The public body cannot censor your speech during a public comment portion because it does not agree with you or like what you're saying. The public body also cannot prohibit comments based on subject matter so long as the comments relate to any issue that a member of the public feels may be of concern to the residents of the municipality or school district. I am concerned that interjections by council members and uneven enforcement of the rules could be used or construed to be censorship of the public comment. Since last meeting, I made an open request to the borough clerk for any written rules or policies that related to the borough council meetings. The clerk responded that no such written rules or policies were available. Without being written, the rules are ad hoc and could be considered impermissible restrictions. In an effort to reduce borough liability and the potential for contention with residents, I make the following recommendations. 1, use a countdown clock that is visible to all members of the public. 2, do not interrupt residents during the public comment area. 3, pass a set of written rules for council meetings. 4, post those rules in a readily apparent location for the attending public to see and know. 5, strictly enforce the rules. That's it, thank you.
What was for? I'm sorry.
Post those rules in a readily apparent location for the attending public to see and know.
And 5?
Strictly enforce the rules.
Gotcha.
Thank you for your suggestion. Anyone else from the public? Mr. Wiley?
George Wallin, 54 2nd Street. Under R 139-19, you have two positions. Are they full-time or part-time as far as zoning and property maintenance?
They're both part-time positions.
And we're giving the part-time employee $20,000?
That's correct.
When myself and Mr. Murphy were making a hell of a lot less than that?
That's the exact same salary Mr. Murphy was making.
He got bumped up that high?
He did, yeah,
And he left?
he did.
That's an awful lot of money for a part-time position. Hopefully he'll be able to bring that back in with summonses.
I think that will be the case.
I would hope.
We don't,
Thank you.
we don't try to bring in money for someone
Well,
else's code
understood.
enforcement.
Oh, that's why the town looks like shit?
It's code enforcement, it's not supposed to be a money-making operation.
Ah, is that a rule?
That's not our primary focus. You're correct, Councilman Good. If it happens, it happens.
Mr. Baloo?
Edward Road 59 West Front Street, Keyport. Just a couple things. I know you mentioned something about 911 before. What is the rule if there was a problem, and say not a problem, and you wanted to ask a question or a mirror got knocked off the car, do you dial 911 or is there another number to call?
Yeah, the same main number, police, Keyport Police Department will ring it. And,
0706 number?
I'm not sure the number
Yes.
off the top of my head, but that'll ring in free hold.
Okay, so you don't call 911, correct?
Not for a non-emergency, no.
Okay, so 911 is strictly just for emergency.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know what constitutes emergency, I'm sure, lots of things, but you would just automatically call the police department. Anybody know the police department number by any chance? I know it was 0706.
Yeah.
0707.
0707.
0706.
No, the
0706 is
0706
going to
goes to
county.
freehold.
Yeah.
So 0707 is what goes to the,
And who would be answering that? A police officer?
There are, the police officer will answer.
Okay. Fair enough.
Or a staff?
Steve, do we have any additional parking coming in? We talked about it this past winter. Do we have any additional parking coming in? I know, what we're gonna get like 14, 15, 16 new parking.
Part of the paving job that we're taking bids for on Thursday will be the paving of that gravel area down on American Legion Drive, and I think it's 19 spots.
Oh, 19 spots.
I think so, yeah, could be wrong.
So, that's what we're holding up for, is
It's part of the overall paving job, so we didn't put it out to bid separately, we put it out to bid with the paving job.
And then one quick question. Back to Bushwick.
Yes.
I don't quite understand that. I know it was mentioned twice here tonight, and I just want to bring it up one more time. what do we have to do with Bushwick? How do we ever get involved with Bushwick?
Bushwick Realty owns the Arrow Marine property.
I
They've owned it
understand
since the
that.
1950s. We met with them 3 years ago and asked them, what do you want to do with this property? What is your plan for this? And at the time, they said they wanted to redevelop it. So we,
That they wanted to.
yes, they would like to redevelop it.
For the last 35 years.
That's correct, yes, they've been dragging their feet for quite some time. We gave them the opportunity by designating them conditional developer and allowing them to come up with a plan that we would consider and adopt. But they missed all the deadlines in the agreement. They were supposed to have a viable plan to us by a certain date. And what they gave us was not a viable plan. We sent them back to the drawing board and they never got back to us again. So we were more than patient with them. They hired a new attorney and they were gonna do all things differently and then nothing happened again. So at this point, we felt that it was appropriate to de-designate them as the conditional redeveloper and perhaps identify another redeveloper who might be interested in developing that property.
That anything to do with our cost or
Our cost
Yeah,
notice.
has nothing to do with our
Didn't-
cost? I'm
didn't cost
kind
us
of
any.
wondering, I don't ever remember Bushwick being cooperative on pretty much anything for the last 35, 40 years. What is our alternative? We taking it or something, or what is the push?
We certainly don't have an intention to condemn the property at this point. It may come up down the road. We did receive a phone call from Bushwick's attorney telling us that they were eager to sell the property. We referred a number of well-funded developers to them, and they reported back to us that they were not realistic in their pricing and their terms. So at some point, we're gonna have to push them to close their landfill. I mean, the landfill has been open since the 1950s. And by state law, they're required to have a landfill closure plan or remediation of any impacts on the community. So we're starting to ask them questions about what their plans are.
So closing a landfill, which is not used for a landfill anymore, fence it off? and
Well,
not
it
use
depends. If there's leachate coming out of it, they have to collect the leachate and send it for treatment. If it needs to be capped, they have to put a cap on it. If there are issues with materials in it that are hazardous, they may need to remove them. They have to have a plan, and they have to have it approved by DEP.
So who pushes them for that? Keyport?
Well, DEP should be doing it, but they were kind of understaffed for the past 8 years. But yes, we're gonna inquire as to the status. We're gonna ask them where they're at, and we're gonna ask DEP where they're at.
Okay. I mean,
Thank
well,
you.
my 5 minutes up? All right, I'll talk when you come back. What is it that we can develop down there? I mean,
Well, I mean,
is
obviously,
it so hard to develop that piece of land, or what?
there are some challenges to it.
I'm over here.
Yeah, there's some environmental issues, but nothing that can't be overcome by the right developer.
Okay.
Great.
Can we circle back to the police station number real quick? Because I thought it was 0706 as well.
Yeah.
So I Googled it, and when you Google it, it says 0706.
Yes, that is the main phone number that rings in Freehold. If you call that number, it goes there. If you wish to reach someone locally,
Right.
you call 0707, they'll be answered either by a police officer, special police officer, or one of the 2 clerks.
So 0707 is the one that goes to the desk.
Yes.
Okay.
0706 transferred along with,
Along with the
well, 911 was always going to county, but when we switched over 07, they took 0706, so we sent it there.
Hey, Matt, have we worked to advertise it? Because it's always been 0706 to me.
Yeah, if they call 0706 with a question, Freehold will refer them.
We'll refer it, okay, but maybe we should just let people know if they wanna, what do you think? If they wanna get right to the desk, or do we wanna avoid them getting right to the
The
desk?
problem, I guess, when we first discussed this was if you start advertising an 0707 number, I think that people who didn't grow up and knew the 0706 number, call 911,
That's what we're supposed to do. Okay, I
So-
got you.
I think it might be confusing, but, that's just my
Thanks.
Okay, I was just, sorry.
There's people there and they can be reached. Great.
That's all that matters.
Yep.
Thank you.
Mr. Lane?
Lane, 51 First Street, Keyport. Good evening, Mayor, members of council. Two things. I was pleased to hear that Mr. Gallo indicated we had a process and a timeline for finalizing the flood damage prevention measures. It has been 5 months since a version was posted for introduction at the 10, 16, 18 council meeting. That version was developed by a team of residents who had experience in the community resilience element work and in the land use requirement or land use element work. And they worked with Donna Miller and went through multiple reviews with Donna, with Andy Reichel at some of them. Steve Gallo managed to set up the reviews, and really a lot of research went into that effort. And I heard Steve indicate that, you know, Andy and Trevor are going to get re-involved. I would suggest that members who worked so hard to create the present version also be invited to that meeting. And ask you to make sure that happens. Second item, and I'd like to hear a result during your unfinished business discussions. Second, there was a New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection hearing on the proposal for the gas line under Raritan Bay. And I attended that meeting, and it was very informative. If you invite me to speak during the new business section, I will bring you up to date on the NJDEP meeting, who attended last night, what the discussions were, and some actions the freeholders have taken. Thank you. And I think you need this information.
Thank you very much. Anyone else from the public?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Madam Mayor, I just have a question about the meeting that Steve and the mayor are going to in the governor's office. Steve, is that the oyster?
It's not the governor's
Yeah,
office.
there's a representative from the governor's
Right,
office
right.
coming.
Is it the oyster meeting?
No.
Okay.
We have a meeting.
Another meeting, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
That subject will come up because it's the appropriate representative.
Okay, we had talked about that.
Sure, I requested, just by way of history, I sent an email to the governor's office.
Yep.
To a friend of mine who works there, asking who our government affairs representative is, because we hadn't heard from anybody. I got a name and a phone number back, I made contact with them, and I sent an email to them requesting a meeting with the governor to discuss the oyster issue, and the ban on oysters. The representative was very interested, he read everything that I had sent over, which was information from the New York side of the house where they have a billion oyster plan,
Right.
and the New Jersey side of the house where we're not allowed to do anything. And he is, by luck of the draw, scheduled to meet with us at the Bay Shore Mayor's meeting on Friday,
Excellent.
where we will discuss this further and tell him we want to meet. But we got a lot of stuff to talk to him about.
Yeah, at some point, it would be nice if, I would say Joe would get looped in, but also, you know. if-
That's the plan when we get the meeting.
Yeah, if you feel it. I would love to go too as the liaison, but more so Joe should.
We gotta get him to agree to meet with us.
If you don't have any luck with that, let me take care of it.
Who's our liaison?
His name is Alex Kraszewski. Alex, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Okay.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move it.
Second.
Striking 14119. Roll call.
Councilman Sheridan.
Yes.
Councilman Cooper. Councilman Good.
Yes.
Councilman Pacheco.
yes.
Councilman Patopoulos.
Yeah.
Councilman McDermott.
Yes.
Next, we're going to go into a public hearing for person-to-person, place-to-place transfer of DTV Pizza Inc. to Keyport Liquor 3, retail consumption license 1322-33-007-009, located at 17-21 West Front Street. Can I have a motion to open this to the public?
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Good evening, council, mayor. My name is Jason Mania. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, Keyport Liquor 3 LLC. And as you stated, it's an application for a person-to-person, place-to-place transfer of license number 1322-33-007-009. The transfer is proposed from DTV Pizza Inc. to Keyport Liquor 3 LLC. Right now, it's a pocket license, and it's proposed to be moved to an existing building at 25 West Front Street for the entire building, the rooftop, as well as the rooftop only for an existing building at 17-21 West Front Street. This license has been inactive since 2009, December 2009. So we're here tonight because an objection was filed. Typically, if there's no objection, there wouldn't be an appearance. But there were certain technical grounds on the application that the objection was filed on, and also some matters that had to do with more zoning in nature. The technical objections were all corrected, and the application was resubmitted revised. Those corrections also corrected for ABC comments to the application. So those have been made on the submitted application that you may have in front of you. The other were nature of zoning, and there was one objection that was received in that. And those really had to do with the layouts of the buildings and so forth, but they are existing buildings. We still have to go through zoning once the plans are developed for the layouts and the rooftop and the interiors. So we're really here before you to see if you have any questions on this application, anything we can answer, any concerns. And we have Chris Sanborn here, who's the manager, who can address questions as well as me.
I have one question to start with. So, with regards to the roof, as it stands now, what happens if for some reason the rooftop development or the rooftop addition is not approved? How does that affect the liquor license?
When you mean not approved for part of the transfer?
No, not approved.
Not approved at zoning.
Right, say
So-
for
so-
some reason it's not allowed.
So what would happen is we'd have to actually come here for what's called, it's another place-to-place transfer. It's called an expansion of the licensed premises, but we're actually bringing it down. But it's
Yep.
another place-to-place transfer. We'd have to come back in front of the board for that.
So it makes sense, what you're saying is that it makes sense for you to submit this the way it's submitted now, right? And then if for some reason it's not approved in the future, that gives you have the opportunity to come back rather than doing it the reverse way.
Correct. It's easier to go for the whole now, and if they scale it back on us, to come back and make the space smaller.
Understood. And just for clarification purposes, you've addressed the issues that the ABC have outlined in their letter?
We have.
Okay.
Anyone else from the board?
I have one question. I guess the concern was noise violations and issues with just activity, I guess, in the neighborhood.
So that noise issues are, typically it's something that we're gonna have to address for the building and zoning department, and of course comply with any noise ordinances. When it's developed, they'll look at what kind of soundproofing or structures can be put in. I know a lot of times, some people put up glass walls as a sound barrier. That's something that's gonna be developed with the plans and then has to be reviewed by the township, borough, before we move forward with that.
Does anyone from the public have any questions?
Council, I just have one question, just for purposes of clarifying the record, and I think I already know the answer, but I just want to hear it from you. Section 2.5, the application trade names, I'm assuming that one hasn't been decided,
Yeah.
we're way early in the process yet before we start that process.
You're correct, the trade name hasn't been assigned or requested as of this point. Before the license is activated, we need to file an activation, an application permit, or actually a transfer, the application has to be filed to activate. So at that time, we would file the trade name. So it will be done before it activates.
Mr. Lane? Do you want, Chris, do you mind just stepping back? So that Mr. Lane can sit? Thank you, sorry.
Couple of things. I was the objector of record, and I documented to council why my objections. And I'm concerned about the process, because the municipal land use, or the ABC rules require that I be noticed of this hearing. And I didn't receive any notice. I can give this to your attorney. And in the past, the hearings have not been allowed to proceed without notice. Second, I never received notice that there was a new application. So I have no idea whether all the issues that I identified in my letter were documented, and how they were changed, and how they were corrected. And the applicant, the open request I made to the borough was for, after the original notice for this application, I made a request to the borough for this document, and the document I was given was the 2017 document. I assume your new document is not dated 2017.
No, so. if
And I was never informed that there was a new application. It was never noticed that there was a new application.
Can I address that? It's because there wasn't a new application. We revised the application that was submitted to comply with the request of the ABC and with Mr. Lane,
Yes.
Mr. Lane's comments.
Right. So
So
that's,
it was a revision of the prior application to correct it.
so I have no idea what the rooftops look like anymore. I have no idea what the uses are on each floor. And I haven't seen the application, so I have a real strong objection to proceeding tonight until I get the opportunity to review the application, and I get notice regarding the hearing. Can I, 30 days?
Definitely.
And also, the holder of the license, President Ms. Bowe, Ida Bowe, had to be noticed. And if you have any proof of any of this notice,
Just for clarity, whose responsibility is it to notice? Is it yours, or is it the borough's?
It would not be the applicant's responsibility.
It's the
We're
borough's
in response to
responsibility?
the objection we shall have.
the notice is to go to the applicant, the objector, and the present owner of the license.
Okay.
When was the agenda posted?
It was, Mr. Lane, I'm curious, I'm reading here that what you handed out, you said, where there is a signed written objection, a hearing must be scheduled, which we have. The applicant, licensee, and objector must be notified of the date, hour, and place. Why does that say personal notice?
How was I noticed?
Was it, I understand this was on the agenda that was published on Friday.
That's not a notice.
That's not?
No.
Why
A
isn't it-
planning board agenda is not a notice either.
Oh, what is a notice?
You get a letter saying your objection will be heard at this meeting at this date and time.
Is that written somewhere? I'd like to see that.
That's what I've experienced in the past, and that's what that piece of paper indicates. Now here, I'll share it with you. And second, all the response that I got to my Oprah had to do with the application that was out of date, had all the errors in it. I was never noticed that there was a new application.
When was the Oprah request submitted?
It was submitted about 5 days after the newspaper notice for this person, place to place and person to person transfer.
5 days after the second notice?
No, 5 days after the first notice, before the second notice. I have the letter here. The date of the letter was January 23rd. So, at this point, took all the work to identify all the problems, and I want the opportunity to look at the application as it presently exists, not as it was signed back in 2017.
Madam Mayor?
I'm gonna make my suggestion, but hold on a second, I asked Councilman Cooper Councilman Papopoulos to hold his thought for a minute until.
I didn't have any thought.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought you asked before for
No.
a minute, so.
I didn't know.
I understand that past practice was to personally notify the objector of the hearing. Is that correct?
Can you repeat that? Sorry.
That past practice was to personally notify the objector of the hearing.
In the past, every objection that's come forward from this objector, he has been personally notified.
So
So I believe that a past practice.
in light of that, I think that it's proper to adjourn this so Mr. Lang could get personally noticed.
Can we make that black and white?
Can I say
I
one
think,
thing? The chief,
My advice to the council would be to carry this hearing one meeting. I think it's in the best interest of both the borough and the applicant. If we were to do that, we could avoid the procedural issues and then discuss the application.
Can we consider this a notice?
Yes, I'll accept this as a notice. And-
but the other person has
And,
to notice. We'll waive the notice for president.
Oh, you're talking about Ida?
But you have to notice item.
Okay.
In writing?
I don't know how else you're
I
gonna
don't
notice
know
item.
however we used to do it. This is, I haven't been here for previous ones.
The applicant's, attorney.
Ida lives in, on 517, on the outskirts of Madawan, I mean, she doesn't read the
But
agendas.
legal counsel asked for a minute, so if you'd like to speak.
Well, I was
before
just
we
gonna
make a
say that
decision on it.
the things, the items that were changed in the application, really small technical items such as addresses, an address, the listing of the landlord of the second building, things of that nature that are easily seen, just looking at 2 pages of the application that they've been corrected. It's not something that requires weeks of study to see that they were changed. I understand the notice issue, and I understand we don't want to do it properly, but they were not substantial changes to this application.
I have a whole set of questions based on the old application in terms
All the
of,
plans are the same.
the plans and all the errors that I identified.
The council procedure wins out.
Yeah, I understand, I understand.
Hold on a second, yes, counsel.
And how we should be aware. I'm sensitive to the council operating as the ABC commission. We went through and the council went through and issued a new license to DVD Pizza when they hadn't published any newspaper notice. You rescinded that.
That's not before the truth council.
No, I'm just talking about history, why I'm being firm. This is the third, what do you call it, third strike. If you want me to identify the other 2, I will. Thank you.
With this liquor license transfer?
Yes.
I believe this is the first time we.
DVD Pizza, the new license renewal was invalid, and you rescinded it because they never noticed. And you can't issue a resolution approving a new license without proper notice in the newspapers. And there's very rigorous rules for that.
The notice was made in the newspaper for the approval of,
No, not the first time around.
but it wasn't approved at the time because of that.
Pardon?
It was not approved at that time due to that, because they needed to know. It was approved, but it was.
No, it was approved, then you came back and put a second resolution in renewing,
Because the ABC.
terming, I sent it, I documented all this to council in a letter. The resolution 224-18, you approved on 11/28 without any notice, the new license.
And then it was sent to the ABC, and they requested the dates of the notice. When we were unable to provide the affidavit, which was an error, it was noticed, and it was, a new resolution was done.
Right, and the new resolution rescinded. So you had to go back and do a second resolution. And part of
To
that,
correct the procedure, yes, we did.
Second resolution was, anyway, if you look at my letter of Sunday, February 10th, I outline all the past procedural problems on this liquor license. And as I said before, I'm looking forward to this facility in Keyport, but when I looked at the layout plans, drawings, I have real problems with them, and I want to have the opportunity to look at the latest version. Thank you.
So we noticed there was no revision to those plans.
Well, then I have real problems.
So we need a motion to table this to April 2nd?
The one thing I'm just asking directly, that there be something stated that we don't have to redo our public notices at this time, that would be carried.
I think that, yeah, I agree with that.
So we'll move to
Motion.
carry this hearing to the next meeting, which is April 2nd.
Without notice.
Council, you're waiving notice requirements regarding that hearing. Mr. Lane?
Yes.
I'm just clarifying with you that you're confirming that you're accepting this as notice. April 2nd will be the hearing on this matter?
And
Will further notice be required?
that will need to notice,
Acceptable with Mr. Sullivan.
Does Mr. Lane have the latest changes that were made? Can we make sure that?
I will pick them up from Borough Hall, since apparently they are posted in Borough Hall.
Council? That's okay, council, do we need to notice the current owner is what I heard?
The regulations aren't clear. It says notice. It doesn't say personal notice, it doesn't say personal service.
Unless it's an appeal, and that's pretty clear.
Yes, but for this type of hearing, I mean, past precedent, we haven't noticed
The owner.
that individual.
Okay.
No, we didn't know that.
We were making sure Mr. Lane has what he needs to from
So the motion will be carried.
Has it been made? Second.
I guess we have to, not maybe initial. So we need a roll call on the motion. Roll call.
Councilman Shara?
Yes.
Councilman Good?
Yes.
Councilman Pacheco?
Yes.
Councilman Topler?
Yes.
Councilman Sims?
Yes.
Next, we have a public hearing on a grant application to be submitted by the Borough of Keyport to NJDEP Green Acres Park Development Program for the development of property located at Block 40, Lot 7.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. This application is for funding through the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection's Green Acres program, where they provide funding both in the form of grants and loans to foster the development of preserved open space and recreational use in the community. We have, the borough's been the recipient of a Monmouth County Open Space Grant for the rehabilitation of Kearney Street, Jack Conway Park, and we're hoping to make application to the NJDEP under the Green Acres regulations for funding for our match for that project. And the improvements include resurfacing the park. There's a sitting area. We would remove the asphalt that's there and put in stamped concrete pavers, additional landscaping, some game tables that would have a chessboard on them, as well as a safety surface at the rear of the park, a new play structure, improved lighting, a teeter-totter and a bank of swings as well as benches throughout the facility, and it would also have the rubberized safety surface that is required in park renovation these days. The park at present is showing its age. The lighting is rather harsh for the neighborhood and is bright at night. We did have an opportunity to meet with area residents last summer, and we're moving forward with having a meeting with them again to discuss the actual improvements that they'd like to see. And hopefully with this grant, we can tie up the financing and get the lion's share of the improvements in this park funded by grant funding.
Thank you. Can we have a motion to open to the public, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone from the public wish to speak on this grant application? Grant.
Albert Graham Jr., 22 St. Peter's Place. I just want to cut through all the mumbo jumbo on this, and I just want to say, it sounds like what you presented, Steve, it's a good idea and stuff like that, and for the benefit of the borough and taxpayers and everything, you should go ahead with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
This program represents a continuation of the mayor and council's longstanding policy of attempting to rehabilitate our parks with grant funds. This year, we see that Benjamin Terry and Veterans Park are being done, funded by the county open space and local open space financing. Main Street Park is going to be rehabilitated this year, and that includes CDBG grant funds as well as county open space funds and a Tony Hawk grant. And then this one, hopefully 3/4 of it will be paid for by grants, and then we move on to Cedar Street Park and Teresa Street Park next year, rather.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Have a motion to close the public?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I have a motion to adopt the ordinance?
Move it.
Second.
Sorry. I can't say
Excited.
that. Can I have a roll call, please?
Councilman Sheridan?
Yes.
Councilman Good?
Yes.
Councilman Pacheco?
Yes.
Councilman Topless?
Yes.
Councilman McDermott?
Yes.
Can I have a motion to authorize the clerk to publish the ordinance as adopted?
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Communications by consent, and the clerk will read. Am I missing one? Oh, sorry, that's the agenda. Sorry, it was the added one. Sorry about that. Public hearing. Sorry, that's my fault. Ordinance number 7-19, granting permission to New Jersey Natural Gas to operate gas utilities in Keyport. The clerk will read the ordinance by title.
Ordinance of the Borough of Keyport, County of Monmouth, New Jersey, granting a consent and permission to New Jersey Natural Gas Company regarding franchise to lay, maintain, and operate gas facilities in the borough.
Hear a motion to open to the public.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone from the public wish to speak on this?
Question.
Question. Yes, Mr. Graham.
Albert Graham Jr., 22 St. Peter's Place. I have a question on this ordinance and stuff like that. Can you more or less, what exactly does NJ Natural Gas want to do on this?
They want to continue to deliver natural gas to Keyport properties.
Okay.
Many years ago, there was no gas distribution system. The gas company, in many instances, went town to town acquiring a franchise to offer gas services to the residents in the town, much like we saw with cable television. The borough authorized, I believe it was a 50-year approval for the franchise, and this is a renewal of that franchise. I've consulted with council, and it's really kind of a formality. I mean, they're here, they have a monopoly, and there's really not much we can do. If we didn't authorize the franchise, I don't know what would happen, but, you know, it's not, it doesn't happen.
Well, I have a cousin who works for New Jersey Natural
Sure.
Gas and well, stuff.
Well, we wanna keep them employed.
Right.
Keep her employed, yeah.
Oh, it's a her, I'm sorry.
Okay. When you say lay, maintain, and operate gas facilities, now, what would that involve, in laying pipes in the ground or?
Well, most of the borough is built out and they serve most places, but if there were a particular location where they did not provide gas service, they would be authorized to install a gas main to service that property. And they also spend considerable amount of funds maintaining their utility, assets throughout the community. Most recently on Main Street, they dug a trench and they're doing work. The contractor they use is Kylie, generally does most of their work. But they do maintain the gas facilities in town as well.
All right, now they're gonna lay some pipe underground, right?
Not necessarily. I mean, if there is an area that's not serviced, they're authorized to do that, but I'm not aware of any plan to expand gas service anywhere in town at this moment.
Okay, now, well, this is of course gonna protect the environment, right? You know,
Well, certainly the use of natural gas is beneficial over other forms of carbon fuels, most notably fuel oil. Natural gas burns cleaner and is better for the environment.
okay, all right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kraft. Anyone else? Have a motion to close?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Have a motion to adopt the ordinance?
Move it. Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Sheridan?
Yes.
Councilman Good?
Yes.
Councilman Pacheco?
Yes.
Councilman Patopoulos?
Yes.
Councilman McDermott?
Yes.
There a motion authorizing the clerk to publish the ordinance as adopted?
Motion published.
Second.
Oh, sorry, all in favor?
Aye.
Any abstain? Communications by consent for approval or to receive and file?
Communication number 1 is an application for membership in Liberty Hose Company number 3, that's subject to state approval from Henry R. Young, and a letter advising that Liberty Hose accepted the resignation of Brian McCann as an active member at its February 4th meeting. Number 2 is an application for membership in Liberty Hose number 3, subject to state approval from Cody E. Young, and letter advising that Liberty Hose Company had an open slot for membership at its February 4th meeting. Number 3 are the minutes of the January 23rd, 2019 Harbor Commission meeting. Number 4 is a Clean Communities Report for January 1st through March 14th, 2019. Number 5 is a letter from the Keyport Fire Department requesting to hold a 9/11 memorial service on Wednesday, September 11th, and further requesting the closure of American Legion Drive from 5:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. on the day of the event. Mayor Kennedy is invited to speak, and all are invited to attend. Number 6 is an email from the KDBC requesting street closures and use of Fireman's Park for Thursday Farmers Market from May 23rd to November 7th, and they're requesting cone-roof parking spaces from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And Thursday, June 20th, from 4 to 9 p.m. for Dogs Night Out. No parking notices should be posted from 3 p.m. on the day prior to the event. Also Thursday, July 25th, with the rain date of July 26th, from 4 to 9 p.m. for the Keyport Car Show. Street closure on West Front Street from Broad Street to Beers, and use of Fireman's Park. Number 7 is an application for a raffle license from KFC number 3402, St. Joseph's, for an off-premise 50/50 cash raffle to be held June 1st, 2019 at 6 p.m. Number 8 is an application for raffle license from KFC number 3402, St. Joseph's, for an off-premise 50/50 cash raffle to be held July 4th, 2019 at 4 p.m. Number 9 is an application for raffle license from KFC number 3402, St. Joseph's, for an on-premise 50/50 cash raffle to be held September 21st, 2019 from 2 to 6 p.m. Number 10 is application for raffle license from KFC number 3402, St. Joseph's, for a money will game of chance to be held September 21st, 2019 from 2 to 6 p.m. Number 11 is an application for raffle license from KFC number 3402, St. Joseph's, for a tricky trade auction to be held September 21st, 2019 from 2 to 6 p.m. Number 12 is an application for raffle license from KFC number 3402, St. Joseph's, for an off-premise 50/50 cash raffle to be held September 21st at 4 p.m. Number 13 is an email from resident Michael Lane dated 3/13/19 regarding flood damage prevention ordinance, base flood elevation definition. And number 14 is an email from resident Michael Lane dated 3/14/19 regarding flood damage prevention ordinance, coastal high hazard area definition.
Before we, motion to approve these, I just wanna note, for any communication that goes to DPW or the police department regarding item number 6, the notifications for the events indicate that, request a one-day, notice for, parking of vehicles in those areas during those timeframes, but legally it has to be 48 hours, so, if we could just make sure that the police department and DPW, they know those rules, but the communication, the person who submitted the communication didn't know that, so, just for a matter of record, 48 hours is the proper notification. With that said, we can have a motion, on communications by consent.
Move it.
Second?
Have a roll call.
Councilman Sheridan?
Yes.
Councilman Good?
Yes.
Councilman Pacheco?
Yes.
Councilman Patopoulos?
Yes.
Councilman McDermott?
Yes.
Can I have approval of minutes for November 20th, 2018, regular work session? And obviously some will have to abstain.
I think we're gonna have to table that,
Wait, oh, yeah,
because, Mr. Patopoulos, Ms. McDermott can't, Mr. Good wasn't there, and that leaves just little old Victoria and myself.
And it's 2-0.
3-0?
1, 2.
but are an
I'd
abstention
rather table it
technically
than
no?
not approve them.
You can approve it without a majority, it's a majority of those eligible to vote. An abstention is not a no or, it goes with the majority, yeah.
So,
So you win 2-0. 2-0 is a pass.
I can,
That's correct.
I'll make a motion to accept with one of my 91 out of 2.
Oh, I mean,
We're a quorum here, Dennis.
Gotcha. I'm not arguing that. I'm just relaying my own knowledge.
yeah.
That's it. I'm okay with it.
I mean, yeah.
It's just minutes, so.
A second?
Second, I mean,
There's not a lot of choices.
All in favor?
aye.
And who's abstaining?
Aye.
January 15th to January 22nd, 2019, regular work sessions, can we do those together, or do we?
Yes.
Motion.
Okay, perfect. For this.
Second?
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstain? Any nay? Reports of department?
Reports of departments, we have the municipal clerk's report for February 2019, the tax water sewer collectors January and February 2019 monthly reports, and the 2018 annual report, the Board of Health treasurer report for February 2019, the building department monthly report for February 2019, and the municipal court monthly report for February 2019.
Motion to receive and file.
Can I get a second?
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstain or nay? New business?
Madam Mayor, I have possible new business. With regards to the new technology that the borough was started to employ, starting with the fiber optic line that's coming in, and notwithstanding some of the other technological apparatus that we may deploy throughout the borough, I recommend that we think about, actually, we don't have to do it tonight, but we should probably do an ad hoc committee at the very least of a technical committee that includes some members of council, similar to the way we do other committees. We're thinking about doing Wi-Fi, we've got charging stations coming in, we've got some infrastructure that we may want to employ to attract high-tech businesses into town. And I think that having a committee to focus on it a little more, including some of the technology experts that we have in the borough, might be a benefit to the borough. And I'm wondering what the council thinks about that.
I make a suggestion that someone from KVBC serve on that committee because they're hoping to move forward on Wi-Fi options also.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, sure, absolutely, why not? That's not even a, yeah. Anybody, I mean, let's not make it everybody, but,
Right.
you know, I would think that, you know, the KVBC, maybe even the Historical Society, because there's some thought about doing some stuff for them as well.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
I agree.
Certainly not the person that on that committee, but there will probably be others that,
Yeah,
thanks to them there.
I mean, I wouldn't mind being on it, I don't need to lead it, but I wouldn't mind being on it, and I've networked with people within the borough that have interest in being a part of it as well. Oh, yeah, he's one of the
He's the person that.
I believe Councilwoman McDermott is nodding her head down here.
Sure, yes, I will be on it.
Do you want to give it to April 2nd just to see if Mr. Cooper
Yes,
has
I
interest?
can do that, yeah.
Is
Is that enough time?
It's at the council and the mayor's pleasure. I just wanted to bring it up because, you know, I'd like to start seeing us do a little bit more.
That's a good idea.
Thank you, Councilman. Can I, under new business, to bring Mike Lynn up for his request of presentation?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Michael Lane had requested.
He doesn't want to do it.
He does?
No, I think he does.
Excuse me, I'm just gonna get some water.
Sorry, Mr. Cooper.
While you're setting up, Mike, will you get some?
Should I wait for Dennis?
No, he's just
getting
gonna
water.
get some water. Don't worry about it.
I attended the NJDEP public hearing regarding permitting the new gas pipeline under Raritan Bay and also building 2 gas compressors in Middlesex County. And part of the gas compressor operation was dewatering of the pipeline. The vast majority of attendees were from Middlesex County. Multiple mayors, county legislators, and residents with homes adjacent to the 2 proposed gas line compressors and the dewatering contamination structures holding toxic fracking liquid in a wetland area adjacent to Morgan Creek and exposed to storm surges. So these were all the concerns of the Middlesex people. There was an extensive number of union workers there whose input focused on the significant number of new jobs that were going to be created for a short period of time. It was also discussed that this gas pipeline supplies no gas to New Jersey. It's designed to deliver all the gas to Queens on Long Island. There was continuing input on the destructive or harmful side effects of disturbing 14,165 acres of contaminated muck in the bottom of Raritan Bay. And there was a lot of residents who were around in the 1970s that talked about the level of pollution in Raritan River, and that it was basically a sewer for disposing of contaminants from multiple Superfund sites that were along the banks of the river. There was testing had been done of the bay muck by, believe it or not, a team from MAST, the Marine Academy of Science and Technology, that worked with the, I think it's what, the Howard Labs at Sandy Hook. And they identified that the levels in the muck, the toxic levels in the muck, are out of range, unacceptable, and above the allowed levels. And the good news is the muck hasn't been disturbed and all that toxin is buried. The bad news is the level of disturbance plan will suspend 1,090,000 tons of the toxic muck in the water, right off our beaches. The other well-known fact is the currents run counterclockwise in this area of the bay. So that means this pipeline is going to start at Morgan Creek and head east. And so all that muck that's disturbed and close to the shore on a counterclockwise rotation, where is it going to end up? It's going to end up here, okay? And with a negative impact on the water quality and the human health of users of our bayfront beaches. Water quality is really important to, all the redevelopment work we're doing on our parks, so residents can go swimming, they can go wading, they can have windsurfers, they can have kayaks, and we're talking about suspending in the water these millions of tons of toxic muck. Multiple attendees, so there was about I would say 60% of the audience was from Middlesex, and they were really upset about the compressors and the decontamination structures and their exposure to this hurricanes and so on and so forth. There was probably 20% of the people from the Bayshore area, and mostly from organizations like the Baykeeper and Clean Ocean, et cetera. Multiple attendees, though, requested that NJDEP schedule a hearing in the Bayfront area, because it's very obvious there wasn't much input from the Bayfront area. I had the opportunity, I was speaker number 80, I had the opportunity to go over the fact that, our parks and our beachfront and we really don't want to be like Morgan Creek area where National Lab contaminated the beaches and the beaches are fenced off now. We really don't want that to happen. So, press, we really need to have a hearing in this area. My understanding is that the Monmouth County freeholders at their meeting, which I guess was the same night, passed a resolution asking for a hearing in this area. And so I would think a couple things. There's a petition to allow you to voice your opposition to this gas pipeline. There's also an opportunity to give input because they decided to extend the opportunity for input for another 30 days. So I think it might be appropriate for the Borough Council to ask for the hearing on the Bayshore and also to object in light of the potential harm to our beaches. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lane.
I have documentation, if you want, I can drop off copies of the petition. I have documentation on who to contact in NJDP if you want to express any opposition to this project. Also, there's nice documentation, which I put in the email that I sent out to the Keyport residents, detailing what's going on. So this is an opportunity to object that I don't think we want to miss. And that I think the leadership of the borough needs to get involved in. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lane.
Can I answer that? Sure. Just real, if you wanna be noticed about meetings, you actually have to register. They will not notice you just because you're a resident. So, unless they're actually constructing in the 200 or 1,000-foot area. So, Mr. Lang, do you have that information? I mean, there's been a number of hearings, I've attended a couple myself, but, if,
It's interesting, Dennis. I tried real hard to find out where I could get a hold of the documentation that defined this pipeline and a copy of their permit applications. I couldn't even find where that information was.
I think, I'm not 100%, but I think that the Baykeeper has consolidated that information, so you might be able to get it from them. I would go, because they're the ones that were mobilizing us a few years ago when this started, so I would contact, the Baykeeper if you want that info, they probably have it.
Well, I would think the borough may want to get that.
Oh, you're not gonna get any opposition from me, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Lane.
You might also want to, Food and Water Watch might have a lot of that stuff too. I know that they've been doing some work on the pipeline. And also I was gonna ask, I don't know if I got the email with the documentation that you said you sent. So when you have a moment, if you could email it to me, I'd really like to read through it.
I copied all council people on Friday night, an email, and there were 2 attachments to the email that, if you open those.
I'll look and see if I have it,
Could
if
you
I do,
please?
I'll
Thank you.
forward it to Councilwoman
Thank you.
Shea.
One of the things, and I shared with them, was that when the weather was real nice, earlier this week, I took a walk along the waterfront, I walked down to the Keyport Yacht Club, I walked out on the pier, and you would just be amazed at the number of clamshells that the birds have broken on the pier. You almost couldn't walk without stepping on it. When my grandchildren had not reached the high school age, we used to seine behind the house. And I can tell you, in the last 30 years, the water has got vastly improved on the beach here.
Oh, yeah.
And so we have the potential to jeopardize all that. Also, and Joe, you go to meetings, the Bay Shore Watershed Commission, they do seining, they do crab counts, they do all kinds of data. We need to compile that stuff and get it to NJDEP and say, this is what is at risk. Because you look at all the environmental statements that go before the planning board, what do they talk about? The impact on birds and fish and wildlife. And since there's been almost no focus from the Bay Shore, none of that's gotten into this equation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lane. Anyone else have new business? Unfinished business? Oh, do I have a motion to close the vice public? Unfinished business? Attorney's report?
Nothing to report.
I'll open up the public comment session.
Motion, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes, Mr. Rob?
George Wallen, 54 Second Street. This question's for Matt. Are you aware that parts were taken off the hook and ladder, and now that truck is no longer drivable?
What do you mean parts?
Parts were taken off the hook and ladder.
To replace other parts, yes. If you're talking about, that's parts on other trucks, or that were broken, were scavenged from the ladder truck, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
I'm
I'm assuming that's what I'm talking about. I was told, I was,
Yes,
because people don't have the cojones to come to these meetings and challenge anybody. I got a phone call, and being that I'm a taxpayer, and I care about my town, and we have a vehicle now that we can't operate because we took parts.
Actually, we don't have that vehicle anymore, it's been sold.
Really?
Yes,
Okay.
When was it sold?
I think today we finalized that.
It will be sold, but
Okay.
we received notice from the person interested in buying.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was not aware of that.
It was the,
But that's good that it was sold. How much did we get for it?
$1,500.
Very good, thank you.
and then just to clarify, if you don't mind, that it was, the hook and ladder truck that was out for auction, right? It wasn't the new hook and ladder truck. As a matter of record, I just wanted people to know that it wasn't.
Well, I would
the-
hope that it wouldn't have been.
I know that, you know that, I just wanted, since it's being recorded, clarify
Right.
that it was.
Second thing,
The answer, just to let you, it was that there were certain parts that were
interchangeable.
unmanufacturable as well as unfindable that needed for other trucks.
All right, if we salvage other trucks, that's all fine also. Like I said, as a taxpayer, I care about these things. Are you aware also that new hose was purchased with a new hook and ladder?
New hose was, I know new hose was purchased, specific to the new hook and ladder.
Could you, yes, if you're not aware, if you could look into that. Because I know we had a big meeting, overrun on that truck, and here we are buying hose for a truck that it would hose. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Wall. Mr. Brown?
Elmer Graham Jr., 22 St. Peter's Place. On another subject, as you all are aware, state of New Jersey is trying to pass a law, legalizing use of recreational marijuana and stuff like that. And of course, they've been struggling with it down in Trenton. The governor and the state legislature have been struggling to get this law passed and stuff like that. And several borough council, several towns and boroughs in New Jersey have expressed opposition to possible, legalization of marijuana, especially in their towns and boroughs. And I don't know, is Keyport gonna take position on this or what?
Mr. Graham, I think, until the legislation's finalized, we've only seen preliminary drafts, we've seen media reports. I think it'd be preliminary, entirely too early for the council to comment on what approach the borough would take in response to legislation that's not passed and signed by the governor yet. So it's a valid concern. You're 100% correct. There are a number of municipalities in New Jersey that have already taken action. I think my advice to the council would be to wait to see what the final product is before we, take before the borough council takes an official position on how recreational, medicinal marijuana would be regulated within the borough.
That's if and when it's finalized.
Correct.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Mr. Cook?
Ed Carew, 64 Broadway. I just wanted to make you aware that John Snyder opened up a new Facebook page called Keyport Television, and I think they've had 2 issues so far. And the 3rd issue, I'm very happy to say, will be about our library. So this Friday, if you go onto Facebook, Keyport Television, there's about a half-hour presentation on different aspects of our library, some of the services that are offered. And I wanted to commend him on a good job that he's doing, because Keyport Television is all about Keyport and the different businesses involved. I've seen the 2 issues, and he gave me an advanced preview of this one coming up, and very pleased. So I just wanted to make council aware of it, and people in the audience here, that the progress we've been making over the years and the marketing that we're trying to do to bring the library out to the public is ongoing. So please enjoy, tune in, and enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you for this opportunity to speak. My name is Peter Blair. I'm an attorney for Clean Ocean Action. Thank you for pretty much teaming me up. I'm going to talk about the Williams-Nessie pipeline. Are you guys familiar with it in general? Okay, so you don't need a map of the project or the proposed?
give it
Would
to
you
me.
prefer one?
At least
We've already clarified that it's hard to get an identifiable map, right?
you
Yes.
at least pass it around to
The public
Yes.
too.
Yes.
Thank you.
You can pass mine out to the public if you want to.
the pipeline, this big red thing.
The pipeline is the big red thing.
That's the oyster line.
I'm sorry, it's unfortunate. So just a quick overview, if you're looking at the map, obviously this is a natural gas pipeline that will bring natural gas that has been fracked from Pennsylvania through New Jersey, cutting through the Raritan Bay to Long Island. It will slice through 23.4 miles of the Raritan Bay, ending at the Rockaways to connect to a pipeline that was pushed through 2 days after Hurricane Sandy happened. Mr. Lane did a phenomenal job of going through some of the impacts, of which over 14,000 acres of the bay will be disturbed. Over 1 million tons of contaminated muck will be resuspended. This includes metals such as lead, zinc, arsenic, natural occurring pathogens such as PCBs, dioxides, and a bunch of others. According to the final environmental impact statement by the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, 83% of the sites that were sampled exceeded the thresholds for the state of New York and New Jersey. There will be over 700,000 gallons of drilling muds that have untold chemicals pushed into the bay, 3.5 million gallons of rich seawater containing much marine life will be sieved through the pipeline, and it will also include other chemicals such as chloritri, which the EPA has noted is harmful to humans, and the EPA specifically warns against allowing it to enter into waterways. This pipeline has absolutely no benefit to the state. I know a lot of times environmental issues aren't black and white, they're gray. There's a jobs issue, there's, hopefully some benefit that will come from the destruction that is being proposed. This doesn't have that, unfortunately. All it will do is provide climate-altering natural gas to New York, where they are currently fighting this as well. No ratepayers' electricity rates will go down. No one's gonna heat their homes in New Jersey. Keyport will not benefit. You mentioned the Billion Oyster project earlier tonight. You mentioned those efforts. Currently, you cannot do those projects in New Jersey because this is an impaired waterway. Since 1973, with the passage of the Clean Water Act, these waters have been impaired. Slowly and surely, it's getting better through the work of Baykeeper, organizations like Clean Ocean Action, your municipality, the state of New Jersey. Billions of dollars essentially has been pushed into cleaning up this water. This will entirely be done through this one project. So we're calling on you, if you're ready for it, to pass a resolution opposing the project. However, I understand that information is not readily available on this. That's something that has been a huge problem. You mentioned that Baykeeper worked on this. Unfortunately, they're stretched pretty thin, as many environmental organizations are at this time. We've kind of taken over focusing on the bayshore impacts, something that's been severely downplayed by the DEP in our opinion. We have a draft resolution, one opposing the pipeline and one calling just for a 45-day extension for the comment period, but most importantly, a public hearing in the Bayshore region where the people who live, work, and recreate on this waterway will be severely impacted. Just a clarification, they have extended the public comment period. That was not 30 days. That is now, it is a full 30 days, which was originally just 15. This is a massive project. 30 days is not enough time to really understand the impacts and get the community aware of what's going on. I'd be happy to take any questions you have about this project. I'd be happy to pass out the draft resolutions we have. We also have fact sheets, and I'm glad to stick around for any of the public if you want to know any more information about this.
Kelsey, do you have any of the material that Mr. Lane was asking for? I had referred him to the Keyport.
Yes, so we have a decent amount of material. We did an Oprah request to the state of New Jersey to get a lot of information on the Bayshore impacts. I will gladly share that with anyone who wants it. It has been hard to get a lot of this information. They have, in my opinion, segmented the project. A large portion focuses on the compressor station. They've done a good job of kind of building this as two projects. No one has really been able to find one whole, complete application.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public? Mr. Brown?
One last time for me, Homer Graham Jr., 22 St. Peter's Place. Of course, I too saw the Keyport television introduction on Facebook and stuff like that, and it's pretty good for the borough and stuff. Is there any possible way that through Keyport television on Facebook, that they could televise these borough council meetings? That would be
Can you
open
provide
to
an
the
update on that,
people,
please?
you know, especially for people who couldn't make it to the
Sure,
meetings.
it's something that we're exploring, Elmer. There's some technology involved, and there would be some investment that would be required. But it's something that we'd like to do if we can overcome certain technical obstacles.
Okay, or if not on Keyport television, maybe possibly on the cable channel 15?
Again, that's controlled by the schools, but we do have access to it. We're looking to do something live on Facebook and then have recordings of the meeting broadcast on cable television. Hopefully, we can accomplish that this year.
It's
Okay,
very
then.
important to note, Mr. Brown, that, just for a matter of clarification, we did not hire, Mr. Snyder, and he is not representing the borough at this time.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing that he's doing and stuff.
I
he's doing
understand, I just
stuff
want a
like
matter
that.
of record that in case anyone out there thinks that we hired him to video these segments, we did not.
Yeah, okay, because with regard to televising the meetings for the public, especially for the people who can't make it to these meetings, it would be very informative for them. And, you know, I'm a big believer in open government, you know, sunshine and open government, of the people, by the people, for the people. Thank you,
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
and that's it.
Anyone else? Mr. Lang?
I'm sorry, is Peter?
Yes.
Yeah. Building on the correction that Peter indicated, it's not 30 more days, it's what, when's the deadline, Peter?
The deadline currently is April 17th. Initially, it was a 15-day comment period. The DEP pushed that to now 30 days total, which still, in our opinion, is unacceptable.
I would ask the council, before tonight is over, to have some dialogue and plan some process to evaluate this and get in a position to make a decision, and if the decision is to oppose, to be able to do that before the deadline of April 17th.
Thank you for that suggestion. Mr. Wellen?
George Wall, 54 Second Street. One more question. Mayor, I asked you a couple of times already, would you ride around town with me so I could point out some issues? So I'm asking you publicly, will you ride around town with me so I could point out some issues?
I believe I can find time in May, if Mr. Gallo will come along with us, that's fine.
Mr. Gallo has already done it. You don't have to fear me. So,
I would like Mr. Gallo present if we rode around town together.
well, all right, yeah, fine. Hopefully the bus will be here, we'll take the whole council.
I like that idea. Thank you, Mr. Wellen.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Do I have a motion to close the public?
Motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Anything to close?
Looks like it's the case.
We have a motion to
Motion to
adjourn.
adjourn.
Do we want to just take a brief moment to,
Accessible.
2 minutes to talk about the pipeline, or we want to table that?
I think I'll speak to Mr. Blair. I'll gather some information from him. I'll provide a report to Mr. Gallo, and then I think he can report to the council. I think it's probably the best way to do it this time. But I defer to the council if they want to have an open discussion, but as far as making decisions, I
You don't have
can.
enough time for it.
Well, that's
I
my
think-
question, is logistically, if we wanted to do whatever resolution it might be, if there even is one, would we get it done before April 17th?
Yeah, but he thinks he can get it done by April 2nd,
Okay.
which is.
That's, yeah, that's.
I'm sorry, I think all of that is good. The only thing, council, is that how many of us I've been following this. I know the basis and a lot of the material, not a lot, But the material I have is the material I'm familiar with, and I'm always hearing about there being more material out there. Can we get anybody else on council familiar with this? It's okay if you're not, because it's typical.
I'm not,
Right, so.
I'm familiar with it, but I
right.
wouldn't go as far as saying familiar with it.
I think not only council, if it's okay, not only, we need a synthesis of the information, so maybe Mr. Blair can help us out by, maybe you can, like you said, is that what you said? To talk to Mr. Blair so you can get that information?
That's what he said.
I'm sorry, I just
It's
wasted.
okay.
I can provide all the information Mr. Blair has, I'll put it in a report for council if they're going to consider legislation potentially for the April 2nd.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay. Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.